You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spread and outright winners. Also, during the game, use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks MLB update. How's everybody doing today? Bet US, Bet Us, I should say, big sponsor of National Streaming Sports Network, and obviously in turn, this show as well. Get there and go to nessp.info and click the link, and you'll get your free money. If there is such a thing as free. There's no free lunch in this country, as we know. But bet responsibly. College football's upon us. Major League Baseball playoffs upon us. So get out there and have some fun, but do it smartly. Guys, I want to welcome everybody watching today on the TGI Sports Talk Facebook and YouTube platforms. Excuse me. We're live, obviously, on National Streaming Sports Roku channel. Just get out there to the Roku apps and download that channel. You can do it for free. Get it while it's free. Lots of great content, guys. Lots of great content. DDH, thumbs up to you. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff there in the Pittsburgh area, national stuff as well. Both through RW Media and some other stuff that he does similar to myself, guesting on other shows. But specifically, Ralph and Smoke and Jim Frazier do the Sports Corner every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook and YouTube and some other outlets. And, of course, a shout out to our favorite groups. And, guys, we'll start adding to this list. And as you groups start coming in and participating, I'll certainly start adding you as well. And I do thank you for allowing me to share my content to your groups, because you've been instrumental in the growth of this show, which has been overwhelming for me. Those groups right now, Sports Authorities with John Gonzalez, one of the best out there for sure. Greg Rawlings, when we do baseball content, America's Pastime, the love for baseball, great stuff. He does some great giveaways too. Subscribe to his group. There's Major League Baseball players there, umpires. I think they're up to over, I want to say 600 former players are on that group, maybe more. Let's talk sports, of course, with Tanner D and the gang, Flo and the gang over at Bottom Line Sports, and Ken Krause at Golf Buds Sports of All Sorts. I want to thank my guests from this morning, by the way. Good morning. 50-50 in playoff berths. 50-50? Oh, 50-50. Yeah, we'll get into that for sure. Hello. Good to see you, Drew. Good to see you, AC. I want to thank Gary McKillips. Just realized when I went back and watched my interview with Gary this morning, I said McPhillips when I brought him in the room. I knew I was going to do that, and I apologize, Gary. But Gary McKillips, who has his own show that he hosts called, let's get this right because I got it wrong on the Mac and Jack show this morning, Sports Across the Board podcast. He also does a lot of stringer, we used to call it, work for AP, the AP, doing some audio and game recaps and such like that. Gary's got a great radio voice, by the way. And he was a former, he worked and lived up here in the Johnstown, New York area for 10 years in the 70s. And he broadcast the Glove City Colonial games, as well as hundreds and hundreds, over 500 high school football and basketball games for Johnstown, I believe for Gloversville, a little bit of FMCC work as well. So Gary was a lot of fun to talk to this morning, and it was a trip down memory lane for me and a lot of my friends, a lot of the followers of this show, fellow Perthites that I talk about a lot. We're Glove City Colonials, and some of them are Hall of Fame members of the Semi-Pro Hall of Fame, including our own Rick Sherlock's brother, Bob. Bob Sherlock will be inducted, I believe, here in another month or so in Canton to the National Semi-Pro Hall of Fame. This is a baseball show, and we are going to get into those big stories that Drew mentioned. The big story last night, what a night for Ohtani. 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 10 RBIs. He gets to 50. I think he's at 51 and 51, if I'm not mistaken. Drew, you can correct me on the exact number, but Ohtani becomes the first man to do it. Didn't look like he would. Maybe a month or so ago, but he just caught fire. Great job by him. We'll get into the races. Things are getting tight. Drew and mine's my Tiger underdog pick in that American League Central, looking better now as they are now tied with the Twins. The Twins and Royals are fading fast, and the Tigers are red hot. Royals, Twins, as I said, not hot. White Sox are never hot. They're on their way to 121 losses, guys. 117 with 9 to go. They got to go 5 to avoid the record. They'd have to go 7 and 2. They have gone 7 and 2 the entire season. Not going to happen. Yankees hot, 4 up now. Tigers, I said, 4 straight, 8 and 2 the last 10. Moved into a tie for that last wild card spot. And the Mets 4 straight, 7 and 3, 2 games now ahead of the Braves still, and they're tied with the D-backs for that second spot. We'll talk a little bit about what those playoff implications are a little bit. And by the way, Luis, I'm going to say his name wrong. Let's just say Acuna. The baby Acuna is up. When Lindor went down, Francisco Lindor went down, who I thought was an MVP candidate, but we'll talk about that a little bit. Ohtani's going to win, but there is something more to just hitting, by the way, included in being a great baseball player. Conversation came up today. Is Ohtani, if he has another 3 or 4 years similar to this, will he be among the all-time greats? Will he be the greatest of all time? Well, until he puts a glove on, no. And unless he really comes back as an ace pitcher, no. I mean, no. Anyway, I was talking to baby Acuna, shortstop for the Mets, comes up, who struggled a bit at Syracuse at AAA, but he comes up. He's been 8 for 19, a double, a triple, 2 homers, and played solid defense. He could be important. Lindor. Did I say Lindor? What the hell is wrong with me, man? Lindor. Thank you. If Drew hasn't already corrected me. Lindor is expected to be back here the next week or so, within the next week. But who knows? I mean, this injury could linger, and you may see Acuna on the playoff roster. We'll see. Anyway, lots to talk about. The Mariners base running this week. How about that? We're going to get to your comments in just a second. I understand, guys, don't have any situational awareness. You saw it twice with the Mariners this week against the Yankees. Down 2-0 in the bottom of the first. Victor Robles tries to steal home on a 3-0. 3-0 count. Bases loaded. They're down 2-0. As I said, there's 2 outs. Heel is all over the place. No command. He tries to steal home. Hello. And then J-Rod the other day gets picked off third base when a bat goes flying, and he forgets he's got to go back to third base. Looked like he was heading to the dugout. What are these guys even thinking about out there? I mean, come on. Oh, my God. Anyway, we'll get into that more. All your topics. Tigers and Mets on 4-game win streaks. Tigers streak matches the Royals. The Royals are holding on to second place right now, but not by a lot. The Mariners have been brought back into this. 2 back with 9 to go is not undoable. You get to 4, 5, and you're pretty much done, guys. So, Red Sox fans, I think you're done. exciting baseball being played now, though. We may have been right after all. They've been hot. I mean, geez, they wanted AJ Hinch fired here a couple of months ago. They've been playing. They hung in there. I mean, again, just to kind of just to pump the brakes a little bit, right? I mean, they are 7 games over 500, and I don't know, 27 teams make the playoffs out of 30. I kid. Too many playoff teams, but still, go Tigers. That's what we predicted. Where's Scott Colby? Scott Colby's with us. How are you, Scott? Good to have you with us, buddy. Nice to see you today. The Tigers storming from way behind, possibly stealing a wild card. We've been talking about that here, Scott. Drew and I both in our preseason preview had picked the Tigers to sneak into a playoff spot, a last playoff spot, I believe, for both of us. And now with 9 games to go, it's exciting, right? I mean, the divisional races are basically over. And I'll continue with your comments in a second. I mean, the divisional races are basically over. I mean, nobody's coming back from a 4-game deficit. It can happen. It's very unlikely any of these 4-game deficits. The Yankees do have 3 games with Baltimore, but still. These races are likely over. So you got a little bit of excitement with that last wild card race for the American League, as we said, and the last spot in the National League. So there's some excitement around baseball, but, and look, winning that number 1 wild card is important as well, because you're going to get 3 games at home. Those 2nd and 3rd wild card teams have got it tough. 3 games all on the road. But then again, if you want to have this many wild cards, you got to. Keith, myself, and you. Wait a minute. Well, I mean, that's me. That's you twice. You counted yourself twice here. Or maybe that's Keith, comma. I shouldn't be correcting anybody's grammar here. You said the chat could beat the White Sox in the chat. Oh, I see. Keith, myself, and you. The chat could beat the White Sox. His intent. Sad to say how bad a Major League Baseball team is. It is like one of the worst teams I can remember seeing. I've talked about the Marlins and getting on them for not trying to make this team better, but the White Sox make the Marlins look like the 27 Yankees. I mean, is there any chance this team can go 6-2? And or what I say they had to go 7-2 to avoid a record? 2 losses would give them 119. And they have 9 games to go. So 7-2, they can avoid the record. If they had a stretch, Drew's going to help me out here. That's not helping me at all, buddy. Luis Angel Acuna. Furthermore, to be known as Baby Acuna here on MLB Update and all TGI Sports Talk shows. Nice little boost. Listen, sometimes, and the Mets have been playing great baseball. 10 runs. They've scored 3 games in a row. I think, if I'm not mistaken, might be the first time in their history. So congratulations to them. And sometimes you need that little boost. I mean, Lindor's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I've said for weeks he should be in the MVP conversation. Now, missing these last couple of weeks hurts, but Acuna gives them a boost where needed. That could be a letdown for a team. Losing your best player, your most clutch player, your leader in the most crucial time of the year. And they've got a big series they're going to be playing here with the Phillies this weekend. Could have been devastating, but Acuna's come up and played very, very well. Luis Angel. Was that right? Hold on. Luis Angel. I can do that. I mean, I got a lot of those guys on the Luis Miguel Jimenez is one of my favorite golfers. Love it when he gets into it, guys. It's not unusual in rookies who are mediocre or doing poorly in the minors are called up and do well initially until the major league pitchers and scouts catch up with them. Thank you. True. Or they don't catch up with them. Mets have had a history here of this, by the way. If you remember, Greg Jeffries came up in September in 1988 and gave them a big boost. He may never have turned into exactly what the Mets thought he was going to be, but he was a productive major leaguer for a long time. I love Acuna's game, by the way. And if you think they're going to, if you should think they'll catch up with him, by the way, Drew, I'd be happy to trade him for Volpe straight up right now today. Just say. Danny pops in. He's going to hear me bashing my Yankees. The Dodgers will be a first round playoff exit this year, in my mind. The problem with the Dodgers, we talked about this last week. I don't think you were here, Scott. I'm not sure that Drew was either, but Danny was. And I talked about who's going to pitch. You know, the Dodgers, another nice year. Listen, Dave Roberts, I'm sorry. He's done a great job. He's won a World Series, albeit in a COVID shortened season. Won 100 games last year with having a patchwork of pitching staff together, and he's done the same thing this year. He's not going to win 100, but he's going to win 93, 4, 5 games. But who's going to pitch for this team in the playoffs? Kershaw's out. I believe Buehler's back, but I'm not Buehler. Buehler is back. Kershaw's not back. You got Yamamoto, Flaherty, the ace, by the way, Ace Flaherty, we call him now on the show since the trade deadline. Yamamoto, Flaherty, Buehler, and who? Knack? That's not going to, and all of them are potential guys except Flaherty, I guess, to go out with an injury at any point in time. Now, maybe Kershaw's coming back. I haven't heard. I was hoping Danny would be here today. But he's in Baltimore, rooting on his Orioles. Thank you, Danny, for bringing such good luck to the Orioles here this week. Very well could be a first-round exit. Now, again, they're not going to get a bye, I don't believe, right? Who's in line for the byes here? We still got a race for the byes between the Yankees and the team formerly known as the Indians in the American League. And in the National League, you got the Dodgers and the Phillies. I think the Phillies need this bye, don't you? Or is there 2 byes? Hold on. Let me look at the playoff. What's the postseason thing look like here? There's 2 byes, correct? Yeah. So the wild card round, you're going to get the worst. Oh, no, you got 2 byes in each league. I'm sorry. Yeah, I knew that didn't sound right. So back up a second. So I guess the Indians and the Yankees are set. And I guess not totally set, but the Dodgers and the Phillies would be set. At least they're not going to play in that first round series. Tough go of it for those second and third wild cards who got to play all those games on the road. Brewers first team to clinch the division. Where did we pick them, Drew? I don't think I have my stuff in front of me today. Let's see if I do. No, I'm going to have to dig it out again. I had to do some housekeeping here around my office area. And now I don't know where I put that sheet again. I'm pretty sure I picked them to finish last. Great job. Vogt and Murphy. Look, they're probably the 2 managers of the year, wouldn't you think? I mean, as we start looking ahead to award season, Vogt and Murphy will be my picks to be manager of the year. Is there somebody else I should consider? I guess we should consider what's his face in Kansas City? What's his name? Quattaro. He could get consideration, I guess. But, and so should, by the way, before we just give it to Murphy in the National League, I think we ought to probably consider Espada in the National League as well. Great job turning that Astros season around. Great job. This was expected to be a reset year for the Mets. Again, I guess we could consider Montero as well. Again, it kind of all depends on your criteria, and I think all of them fit the type of criteria that wins manager of the year awards. Montero happens to be in New York, which might give him a bit of Mendoza. Did I say Montero? Mendoza, who gives him a bit of a heads up, or maybe a head up, because you're in a major media market, right? The Brewers are they're 3 games back still. I mean, again, it's not a lot. 3 games, though, with 9 to play is a lot. Even if they play. So right now, the Phillies and the Dodgers are tied with 91. If they both played 500, right, they'd have to go 6-3 just to tie, 7-3 to pass, 7-2 to pass them. Yeah, not undoable, but it's pretty safe. Again, Ohtani's night last night, and kudos to Skip Stoolmaker. Not Stoolmaker. What does it would mean names, especially today? Oh, this week has not been good for Keith and names, I got to tell you. Shoemaker. Jesus Christ, Schumacher. Asked after the game why he pitched to Ohtani, and he was pretty. That's what we're here for. We're not, they're here to play games. At least, and listen, he's going to get fired most likely, and he should land a job next year. Skip Schumacher did a great job last year with the Marlins. I believe he was a man of the year last year. Very good Major League Baseball manager. He's in a horrible situation, and the only way it could be worse if he were to sign with the White Sox. So again, great job. But a lot of managers with unexpected turnarounds, I would say, this year. I didn't hold out much hope. I think Drew held out a little more hope than I did for the Royals. Great job by them, even though a little bit of a fade here late in the season. Probably will make the playoffs. Probably will be an early exit, but who knows? But some great stories this weekend. I mean, seriously, I do have to question. So the Mariners, by the way, fired their manager a few weeks back, Scott Servais, replaced him with Dan Wilson. It hasn't had a tremendous effect. I want to say at best they're probably playing 500 or a couple games above, but they have crawled back into the wild card race. They're 2 games back more, and that's more the failings of the teams in front of them than them playing good baseball. I mean, I got to question any team that in the middle of a pennant race, a playoff push, is running the bases the way that they are. Victor Robles, I mean, this is again the epitome. And I do have some comments about the 50 stolen bases part of Ohtani's record, by the way. But Robles' base running is the epitome of what's wrong with baseball, and guys not understanding the game and the situations that they're in. There's plenty of places where stealing home in that situation probably wouldn't be a bad idea. If you're trying to manufacture runs, you're having trouble scoring runs. But Victor, you're down 2-0. Luis Gil's all over the place. His command was terrible. The bases are loaded. It's 3-0 in the count. You miss the strike zone again. You're walking in. You don't have to steal home. You're trying to steal home. Is it me? I mean, sometimes I get on these little rants about the way guys are so clueless as to situational baseball that I think it's me. And I'm being too hard on people. But that's total lack of awareness. And the same thing with J-Rod. Now I get it. The bat's coming at him. You look at the replay, the bat's not that close to him. Now, where he ended up, he was halfway to the dugout. You could take 2 steps and you've been well out of the way of the bat. and you just don't get back to the bag. Great heads-up play by the Yankees. Not great play. It's just paying attention to what's going on. The ball's live. Just because the bat's flying around. Boy, I get on the Yankees, and they must have gone to the Glaber Torrey School of Base Running, these guys. Anyway. Sometimes I think it's me. Maybe it's both. I guess both things could be true. It's me and guys just don't understand how to play the freaking game today. And Ohtani, this is pretty sad, by the way. Only 2 players above. Forget about the higher parts of this. And these are awesome. Judge and Ohtani. How many guys were in a lineup the other night that already had 100 strikeouts? It was like 60 guys in the lineup or something that with 100 strikeouts. Some astronomical number. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. Or the number of guys on any given night. You remember, I can remember days where if there was one guy hitting under 200 in a lineup in all of baseball, that would be a lot. And on any given night, you might have 30, 40 guys, or at least 20 or 30, hitting under 200. Oh, man. If I was a pitcher, I would demand to throw more innings so I can pitch no hitters. It's just frustrating, man. I'm just a broken record, I guess. Only 2 players above 1,000 OPS, Judge and Ohtani. Witt looking as if he'll take the MLB batting crown with his Serge Guerrero's now second. Vlad Guerrero's quietly come back and had a pretty good year. Bobby Witt, and by the way, Judge is still 10 points behind. It's not undoable. He could still win a Triple Crown here. Again, just like overcoming a 3-game deficit with 9 to go, it's not easy. But he could win the Triple Crown here still. Not likely. And in another year, and I'll be quite honest with you, I think the last couple of weeks, I shouldn't say this. If the Royals, here's what I would say. If the Royals had not stumbled here the last couple of weeks, if they fall out of the playoffs, it's certainly a non-factor, but Witt was going to close that MVP gap with Judge fading a bit at the end of the season. If the Royals had surged instead of floundering, Bobby Witt would have, I think, been strongly in the conversation for the MVP award, as I mentioned in the National League with Lindor, who for some reason I was calling Lincor at the top of the show. 136 players. I wasn't even close. I only had half of them. How sad. Oh my God. I was probably low on the under 200 batting average in lineups in one night. I was probably 60 or 70. And we're okay with it. Come on. Anyway, we'll have some fun here the next couple of weekends. I should say. We've only got 9 days left to the season. We'll continue this show through the playoffs. I may miss a couple of weeks as I'll be away on vacation starting. I might be away when the World Series starts. I'll be away 2 weeks, basically, starting October 25th. Yeah, I might miss a good deal of that World Series. That's unfortunate, but we'll do some live stuff from the ship. We'll have some impromptu. It may not be at 3:00 on Fridays, but we'll do some shows. I'll keep you more abreast of that as we go along. I do want to talk about this, and this actually brings me back to this. De La Cruz, who's an exciting player, there's the positives that Drew points out. 64 stolen bases. By the way, 16 caught stealings really stinks in my mind. If you get caught stealing now with the advantages you have, then you're just not that good a base runner. Sorry, you're not. 343 on base percentage. That's okay. 9 triples. That's good. Negatives 260 average, 204. 204 strikeouts. We love to talk about asterisks, and I'm not an asterisk guy, by the way, just to be clear. I don't want to give the Dodgers an asterisk for their COVID World Series. They played under the same conditions as everybody else. I don't want to give Roger Maris. I didn't want to have Roger Maris have 60. He doesn't have the record anymore. 61 homers. I don't want to give that an asterisk. I don't want to give anything an asterisk. But if you're an asterisk guy, you don't think Ohtani's 50 stolen bases has anything to do with the rules change? You don't think the 64 stolen bases that De La Cruz has piled up this year has anything to do with rules changes? You don't think that the fact that stolen bases are up a ton in Major League Baseball has anything to do with rule changes? I know that's what we wanted. That's not what we wanted. That's what Major League Baseball wanted. Yeah, I wanted a return to more stolen bases, more hit and runs, better situational play, more exciting baseball, rather than just standing around waiting for 3-run home runs, walks, strikeouts. But I didn't want to change the rules to diametrically change the way the game is played. And it's come into play here. So we got our first 50-50 guy. Congratulations. I want to take nothing away from Ohtani. But the 50 stolen bases, you know, the rule changes to pitchers being able to limited and how many times you can throw over first base play a big part in this. The pitch clock plays a big part into stolen bases, but something nobody talks about. I've talked a lot about, you know, being able to throw over to first base so many times. The making of the bases bigger has shortened the baseline. And if you don't think that matters, as I talked to Mackie Sasser last week, who knows something about trying to throw out base runners, it makes a huge difference. How many bang plays do you see? And now they're not. Now they're safe. But the pitch clock plays into it as well. Because when that pitch clock is running and you got a guy on first base or second base or wherever, geez, I can stop the clock, I suppose, by throwing to first base, but I can only do that once. Well, I can do it twice, but once I've done that, you might as well just let me walk to second base. So it all plays into it. And again, I'm not trying to demean his accomplishments. Ohtani's a great player. Conversation came up this morning, you know, if he has a 3, 4, 5 years where he runs like this and pitches, will he be the greatest on the list of greatest players ever? That's pushing it a little bit. He goes out and wins a couple Cy Young awards. Well, then we're talking about something. Off topic. Scott says, I know you should call me Mr. 2-0. Keith is as consistent as ever at 1-1. Oh, in football. We'll talk more about the fantasy football Sunday if you like. I'm off to a bad start in college and pros picking games, but yes, off topic, and we'll get more into that, Scott. Sure. MLB average 243, 312, 400. And 243 and 312, and we put in all these rules to help the hitters, and they still don't produce. They still strike out at enormous rates. We had to eliminate the shift because it was unfair. How about the fact that they're unfair to themselves when some of these guys might as well go up the bat with a wiffle ball bat, for crying out loud. 100. How many guys, Drew? 136, did you say? 136 guys with 100 strikeouts. How many guys in baseball with more than 400 at bats, let's say? Let's see if I can figure this out quick. Excuse me. I'll go there. I want to see if I can figure out. Cubs are leading the Nationals. Doesn't matter, by the way. 1-0. It doesn't matter. I want to get to. So, how can I do this? Complete leaders. All right. I want to see if I can switch this around and see how many guys with 400 at bats, at least 400 at bats, are hitting under 200. And I'll show more. This is going to be too hard to do, probably. This is going to be way too. I should flip it around. Yeah, but then I'm going to get all these guys. Nah, this isn't going to help me. Yeah, because this is not giving me. It's only giving me 132 players, so I need them all. Why don't they give you a show all button? I'll go this way. Am I getting more this way or am I not? Yeah, I can't tell. I really like to see how many guys with 400 at least at bats are hitting under 200. Can't find the number. Maybe Drew can find it. Yeah, I did the TGI Sports. I'm 1-1. I'm in 3 leagues and I'm 1-1 in all of them. This close to being 2-0 in all. But, when Ohtani pitches, I think his base running will suffer. It will. They won't want him to run. And this guy's never put a glove on either except to pitch. This is my other problem. I don't even know that he's the greatest DH of all time. That came up. Is he the greatest DH of all time because he went 50-50? I know he's a great player and he's had great success. To me, Edgar Martinez is still not even Big Papi. I understand people love Ortiz. I think Edgar Martinez is still the best DH that I've ever seen. Chris Sale's done a great job, and I was a doubter in Sale before the season. He may win the Cy Young Award. In fact, if I'm voting today, I'm probably voting for Sale and Skubal to be the Cy Young Award winners. How did I want to know how DeGrom did last week in his first start, by the way, in 503 days. Did he get hurt? Let's see if I can go back. Can I go back that far? We can. Too far, Keith. Jeez. That was Friday the 13th. Boy, would you let him make his first start in 500 and some 3 days, whatever it is, on the Friday the 13th? We'll get to your comments in just a second. I'm trying to find that Ranger box score. I believe he pitched Friday night. 3 2/3. Wow. Threw a lot of pitches, 60 pitches. 3 2/3, 4 hits, 4 strikeouts. Well, I think the Rangers have now gotten their money worth out of them. Fried, Gosman, Sanchez tied for the lead with 2 complete games each. Fabulous. Thank you for that, Drew. Continue to show me how we've screwed up the way pitchers pitch today. Gosman, by the way, had a 5-inning no-hitter the other day and got pulled, but he did have, in fairness, he had some back issues, I believe. What happened to the days when we heard Major League Baseball players were taking 500 swings a day in the offseason and practicing hitting and hitting the other way? We don't hear this anymore, and it's a sin. It's a cardinal sin. They spend their time weight training and learning these guys. Go follow Jeff Fry, former Major League Baseball player Jeff Fry, who I'm trying to get on the one-on-one with Keith Engle show and watch some of the videos he puts up of some of the top hitting instructors in this country and what they're showing kids to do, kids and young players and even pro players. It's comical the way they're teaching these guys how to hit. Nothing to do with hitting it the other way. And by the way, in the offseason, we aren't taking 500 swings a day. We're working out in the gym and getting muscle bound and working on all the muscles have nothing to do with staying healthy for 162 games in a baseball season. It is a sin. It's very sad. If you're, maybe again, there are people who loved the game today. I'm still a big baseball fan. I know some Fridays you might be like, why do you even do this show? You hate the game. I don't hate the game. I just want a semblance of the game that I grew up to love back. Gary McKillips and I were talking about the sports in general, that he felt we were talking about college football and the changes there, and as long as the games feel the same on Saturday, that's great. Changes in football, baseball, both of them, it feels to me the games are changing so much. They barely resemble the games I grew up with. Barely. What is this? Cutter Crawford, 333. That's probably low. I would have thought it'd be higher. The leaders would be in the 40s. Sale. Again, Cease. I guess Cease. Dylan Cease or Sale should win that Cy Young, shouldn't you think? In the National League, a Sale. I'm going to take Sale. And again, there's a place where I will tell you I was wrong. One thing you don't hear a lot on these types of shows, or when guys are wrong, they don't come back and admit it. I admit it. I was dead wrong about Chris Sale. There are two guys under 500 with 386 or more bats. That it? That's amazing. Oh, there you go. That's what I was looking for. There are about 30 to 40 guys, 220. Okay, 220. All right, that's bad enough. So my hyperbole got the best of me there. That's still bad enough. 30 to 40 guys sitting under 200 or 220, excuse me, around 200. So between 220 and I'm having trouble speaking all of a sudden. I feel like I have a one-stroke show lately. About the average. What do you got, Drew? 4 pitchers under 200 batting average against Blanco, Wheeler. Time I see Cease, I think, still going to give it to Sale. Before I get to the schedule, what's going on? We talked about Ohtani. Soto had a little scary. You know, I'm not crazy about the way he plays the outfield, but he had a little scary slide into the wall the other night. He seems to be fine. Bichette's done for the season. Doesn't matter. That team's been done for a while, and Schneider's got to be the top of the list for guys getting fired. Oh, by the way, that's the other thing. What are the Yankees doing? And I risk Denny Fuller coming in. The only time I bash the Yankees here are going to be these next couple of minutes. What you look like you're celebrating you won the World Series the other night. All you did was clinch a playoff spot. You hadn't clinched a division yet. You didn't win a playoff series, much less the World Series. What was that celebration like? I know celebrations should be held off until you at least win a division, not a division, but even your league championship, right? Make your way to the World Series. If you win your league championship, then I can say, okay, have that type of celebration. Or obviously you want a World Series. You clinched a playoff spot. Guys, you make it seem like this is the first time you did it in 20 years. Or an expansion team's first ever playoff clinching. Leaders. You know, Hill had a great 2-month stretch, but he's been before that and then after that, man, he's all over the place. He's going to be a little scary come playoff time. Ugh. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do I think the sport of baseball stands, with a 10 being in great shape and 1 being we're in trouble? 5. I've said since I started doing these shows 4 years ago, over 4 years ago, that I was afraid baseball wouldn't survive Rob Manfred. And I have no reason to change my mind. We put in rules for the sake of trying to fix what's not broken. I'm sorry. We put in rules where we already have rules to fix what might be broken. If games are boring, it's because of the way the players play. It's not because of the rules of the game. It's because we don't teach kids how to play fundamentally sound baseball. We want more stolen bases. We shorten the base pass and limit pitchers being able to throw over to first base. Batting average and strikeouts, batting averages sink, and we eliminate the shift. So guys, stupid hitters won't just hit right into the shift. Pitch clocks. So we've sped up a boring game. So now a boring game is played in 2 hours instead of 3 hours. Don't get me wrong. Every game is not boring. This game is teetering, by the way, teetering. I looked at the because it came up, if the Dodgers and Yankees played, it would set all-time viewership records if they played the World Series. Well, they're not even going to come close because all-time records are 35 to 45 million people watching a game. Last year, they averaged about less than 10. I know there's more choices, but you're not making the game attractive to kids. You're not. And I know, and that's what you're doing is you're making all these changes, trying to attract a generation that has the attention span of a gnat. Sorry, just a fact. If you're in that demographic and I offended you, then I'm sorry. Show me I'm wrong. But go back to playing the game the way it was meant to be played. And you'll get young kids playing it again. Young black kids don't even play baseball. They play basketball, they play football, they play soccer. Lacrosse is huge. They don't even play baseball. I would say, and this is just a guess, and I'm not talking about Hispanics, by the way. I'm talking about African Americans. I would say that the African American number of players is probably at an all-time low. Obviously, since 1960 something. It was obviously at all-time low when there were none. It was the all-time low. I get that. Hello. But I would say it's probably pretty freaking close. And there's a reason for that. They watch games that are boring. I became a baseball player and a really good one for a period of time. And I wasn't good when I was a youngster, but I watched these guys and I watched the game and I loved that game and I played it for hours and hours and hours in a backyard, throwing balls against a garage and playing two-man games with my brother, hitting right-handed, hitting left-handed. Him being the pitcher, not even standing 30 feet away, much less 60, firing a ball as hard as he could. Why would kids do that now? It's boring. All they got to do is stand up there, they swing, they don't swing. Guys throw 100 miles an hour, and then they're out. We change rules right and left to try to fix a game that is in trouble. Now, you could talk about attendance at games, and that's just great. That's fine. But you know what pays the bills? The television. And if TV, and as viewerships go away, as eyeballs go away, the money goes away too. And who's going to pay all these guys? The game's in trouble. Yankees deserve a participation trophy medal for clinching a playoff spot. Aaron Boone taking them Also, Dairy Queen for blizzards. What are they doing? What are they doing? I mean, yeah, it's fine. Celebrate on the field, be happy. But to have champagne showers in the locker room for clinching a playoff spot, not even a division. How about we go win a playoff series? How about we get to a World Series? Aaron, what do you think? Do you think my theory that Brett Boone, I'm making myself a little self-important here. I realize that. But I do have a lot of really big name former players. Brett Saberhagen is not a small name. Jim Sundberg is not a small name. But do you think the fact that Brett Boone and Bob Boone won't even return my messages has something to do with the fact that I ripped their brother and son so much? Believe me, I don't think that's true. I don't think they even know who I am, but it's a good story. There's your tremendous pitching stats. Michael Gott, good afternoon. How are you, buddy? Good to have you with us. Mariners still leading ERA. Mariners leading ERA. They can't hit their way out of a paper bag. And they can't run the bases. Man, Scott, great example of what's wrong with the game, right? Those two base running blunders by the Mariners this week in the heat of a playoff chase. And don't give me it made no difference. The game was 11-2 by the end of it when Roble got thrown out at home plate, trying to steal home in the bottom of the second, down 2-0 with the bases loaded and 3-0 count. And Heel couldn't find the strike zone. That's not smart baseball. And don't tell me it was 11-2, but that was over because, again, you can't make assumptions that everything plays out the same way. Just, what do you got for me, Michael? That may be the key for the game of baseball to return to prominence, a World Series win for the Yankees. That's entirely possible, Michael. And again, I've been hard on the Yankees, but I want them to win, and it would be good for baseball, without a doubt. I talk about this a lot. Every sport has teams that when they're good, it's good for the game. So when the Yankees are good, that's good for baseball. When the Dodgers are good, that's good for baseball. When Notre Dame's good, it's good for college football. That's all. I mean, again, every sport has those types of teams. When the Cowboys are good, it's good for the NFL. It's just a fact. So you're probably right. I mean, I wouldn't say that alone is going to return it to prominence, Michael. There needs to be some changes in the approach to the game and the way it's played and the way it's managed and the way teams are put together. But a World Series win for the Yankees would certainly give the game a kick. But there's other things to go as well. There you go. Exactly what I said. Michael, good call. Great call. Wait till the Royals clinch. Happy meals for everybody. Now, when the Royals clinch, it's actually they've won more World Series than the Yankees in the last 15 years, so I probably shouldn't get on them. I think they won one and went to two, and the Yankees have been to any. So maybe I shouldn't get on the Royals, but again, I keep saying this is the Yankees. This isn't good enough. But when you celebrate clinching a playoff spot when there's 12 of them available, when almost a third of the league is getting into playoffs, or is that more than a third? I can't do the math. Yeah. I mean, that does say that's good enough. The Royals, let me say that again. The Royals have been to 2 World Series and won 1 since the Yankees have been to 1 in the last 15 years. The Marlins have the same number of World Series victories in the last 21 years as the Yankees. Scott, you're the best. All right, let's get to this weekend. Let's go on this weekend because it is the second to last weekend of the year. We got Washington at Chicago. Both these teams eliminated. Nobody cares. Williams at Tyon. Pirates, who faded badly. Reds, big disappointment. Keller against Martinez. Blue Jays and Tampa Bay. Another two bit disappointing teams. Berrios and Alexander. Huge series. Detroit, who beat Baltimore last night, I believe. Am I right or wrong on that? I believe they beat them last night. Let me just check this out. Nope, sorry, talk about that. They beat the Royals. Sorry about that. But anyway, big series for both these teams as Baltimore desperately tries to chase down the Yankees. They'll make the playoffs. Undecided, who's always somebody I like to bet on, undecided versus Corbin Burns. Big series for the Tigers, especially. Braves at Miami, big series for the Braves, trailing the Mets by 2 games. Charlie Morton against Balazzo. Minnesota, who's slumping badly against the Red Sox, who are on life support. Sorry, Scott. Festa against Fitz. Phillies, big series. Phillies and Mets this weekend. Christopher Sanchez against David Peterson open it up tonight. That game's on Apple, by the way. Enjoy their production. It's tremendous production value there. The Mariners and the Rangers, big series for the Mariners. Kirby and DeGrom. DeGrom gets his second start. The Angels against the Astros. Nothing much to worry about there for the Astros. Anderson and Verlander. The D-backs now tied with the Mets for that second wild card. Avoiding that second and third wild card is huge, by the way. Don't want to play those games on the road. That's Zach Gallen against Colin Ray. Brewers just trying to get healthy and get their pitching lined up for the playoffs. I don't think they're going to have a chance to get one of those buys, so they're probably going to get their pitching lined up here and try to win games. Don't get me wrong. Giants against the Royals. Mason Black against Michael Wacha. It's Kansas City trying to straighten out their free fall here. The team formerly known as the Indians go to the Cardinals. Lively against Gibson. The White Sox at San Diego. They'll get loss number 118. I think we should have a really big. I might go live the night they're ready to break the record. The Yankees will play the A's on the West Coast, 9:00. Yuck. Late night for Keith. Cole against Ginn. And then the Rockies play the Dodgers. Kyle Freeland against undecided. You'll probably see undecided a lot for the Dodgers here coming up. So we'll see. What did I miss here? I think we saw that, didn't we, Michael? Oh, yeah, you talked about Happy Meals, cold cuts. That's pretty funny, though, by the way. Scott says it's okay, Keith. We want to sweep the Twins and get the Tigers in. There you go. Drew and I will be happy with that. Experts, I haven't picked anything. Already guessing where Soto and Burns will end up. We might as well just sit here and pull a name out of the hat. I mean, we could probably eliminate 20 teams, right? But it's going to be very interesting to see what the Yankees do. And we're going to wrap it up here in a minute or two. It'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do with Soto because you can't pay him more than Judge. And I got a feeling somebody's going to offer him stupid money. He doesn't pitch, so maybe he won't get Ohtani money. But if somebody's willing to pay you, you're worth it. So both are going to the Rockies. Yeah, how'd that work out for the last big name free agent that went there was Bryant, the the Cubs third baseman, Chris Bryant. Is that right? Nobody's heard from him since. It's like he's in a witness protection program. Could have gone to the Mets. Could have gone to other teams where would have had a little bit more high profile. Now I know injuries hit him, and maybe that would have happened wherever he went. But we'll see. Thanks again, Drew. See you tomorrow. My granddaughter's second birthday tomorrow. Scarlett will be 2, and we'll be there. And I'll be back Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. Want to thank you guys for tuning in today, and to all my shows. And one more last quick shout out to Gary McKillips. Again, sorry for saying your name wrong when I brought you on the show this morning, Gary. That's kind of what I do, apparently, right, Drew? Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks. MLB. We'll see you Monday morning. For birthdays, we'll see you one of the Stream of Consciousness. Tune in. Michael got me with us. Have a great day, guys. Great weekend. And fun.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly. You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk, on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.